Hey everybody, I'm AdamHarry with
JayArr.
We're from BoLS, and today we've got a special Retro Corner review.
We are going back through the AD&D copy of Deities and Demigods. So it's AD&D and D&D.
That's right, that's a lot of Ds.
That's a lot of Ds, and twice the ampersands is normal. This is a encyclopedia of gods and heroes from myth and legend.
That's right, folks. We're going to be deep diving through this book. We're going to hit the highlights, talk a little bit about the history of this fun book, and just find out from something from ages past. So JayArr, let's do this.
Let's take a look. So this is Deities and Demigods.
This is a much loved copy, so yes, it's a little messed up. It was used. It was used quite heavily.
You'd be hard pressed to find a new one of these today. This is by James M. Ward and Robert J. Kuntz, who both have gone on to contribute many a fine book to D&D's history. Now, what this book is a collection of...
That's the table of contents.
Oh, yeah.
Real fast. Show that off, JayArr.
All right. Here it is. No. So it kind of walks you through the book. This is all pretty much lore and rules rolled together. So in the first, it sets up like, here's how you handle divine beings in your game. Here's how immortality and mortality work, how they interact with each other. In first edition D&D, you had to be this tall to ride the ride. If you weren't, you couldn't even mess with deities and or demigods in the first place.
That's right.
It talks a lot about like how gods work, because this was their attempt.
This is the book about them.
Well, this was their attempt to like give them stats and be like, here's how you run them. Here's how all of this stuff happens. You can see some of the fine first edition artwork there.
I didn't know Matthew Mercer was in this book.
Right? He has been around longer than you think. We do love that guy. It also talks about like what the relationship is between like clerics and their deities.
Okay, yeah.
Because one of the big things is this book was meant to have more than just like either you ignore, or rather, this book was meant to show that there are more than just the two standard ways of playing the game, which is either you kind of mostly ignore the gods, except for maybe on occasion when the cleric is like, do I feel good about this? Or they're showing up like basically at your character's beck and call to do whatever, right?
They're summoning their magic genie who just happens to be a demigod.
Right.
Yeah.
So this book is meant to kind of like talk about the relationship of the characters, and talks about like what are some of the signs they might do, how might they communicate with your characters, and of course, because it's Gary Gygax and his friends, how are you gonna become a god yourself? That's
naturally,
like the ultimate progression.
Yeah.
But what I really love about this book, and the reason that we're kind of going back through it today, is it's such a useful resource for any like dungeon master or a player who wants to like have a divine relationship in the game, right?
Absolutely. First off, this book also this sets the foundation for all D&D moving forward after this book came out, right? Like in terms of like the planes, in terms of the different, which we'll see here, the different mythologies that we're going to be able to run through.
Yeah, this
and all that
like
fun stuff.
handles the cosmos of D&D. This kind of takes it from random fantasy land, which could have been like Earth or the Forgotten Realms later, but kind of is like, here's how you incorporate myth and legend and stuff like that, and incorporate it they do. So you get a whole you get a pantheon of pantheons in this book.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you have American Indians, Native Americans. So you can see this book is a little
dated. I mean, it's over 30 years old, so you've got to cut some slack here, folks.
But they've got like mythological figures. You've got Coyote and Raven alongside others whose names I'm not going to butcher.
Right.
But then there's like Snake Man and stuff. You can find mythologies from all kinds of cultures and all kinds of sources.
Arthurian heroes.
They've got Arthurian heroes.
It's just that page right there. I do like how they do the text for each culture.
It's got its own flavor. Yeah. You can find all kinds of things. You can find Celtic mythology, where they talk about like Cuchulainn, who's one of the main hero guys of the stories there. Yeah. They've got Chinese mythology. Here I want to kind of talk about one of my favorite guys from this section. There's Shan Hai Ching, the god of wind and the sea, who is a giant. He's a rock, right, in D&D. He's a giant bird with a giant human head on it.
Yeah.
And he is as you can see, the god of the wind and the sea. He can summon hurricanes. He can do all kinds of crazy storms, and basically flies around doing all kinds of cool stuff, making sure that any people in the sea kind of respect him. And that's kind of where this book shows off some of the creativity of it, is like you can find all kinds of inspiration for your own gods. If you look at the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide, or even the Player's Handbook, when they talk about like what gods might have the domain, they'll tell you names of like different gods that existed in mythology, and here are a lot of them collected together that you can just find some inspiration, pick something, and go with it. You know, do you want someone that acts as like a judge of the afterlife? Go with Yen Wang Ye, the judge of the dead. You know, do you want to find something else? Well, flip over to the
Finnish mythos,
which is amazing. This is the mythos that kind of helped inspire the Lord of the Rings, and you might find Untamo, the god of sleep and the dreams. This is a very different god from the judge of the dead. He's a god that's very mild and dislikes like getting up and being made to do anything.
Kind of slothful, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy too about this book is it's I guess at the time it was pretty well researched because it collected a lot of different pantheons.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it tried to be as respectful as possible when presenting this information, because you got to remember at the time there was no internet.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff you had to look up. If you're going to look it up, probably have to go to a library.
You have to go to some archive somewhere.
Or some archive and look it up and ask questions. So I think the way they presented this, especially to a generation of gamers, was done pretty well.
And one of the things that I love is the rules that they put in. So on the one hand, if you give something stats, players will of course want to try and kill it, right?
Sure.
If it has stats and hit points, it can be killed. Is the
if
old
it bleeds,
adage.
we can kill it.
Yeah. Which maybe you don't want your players doing, and that's fine. But one of the things I loved are the crazy, like, esoteric rules about these things. So Untamo has this rule that he can't be hurt by anything that hasn't slept for at least 13 hours recently.
Wow, that's random.
Right? But it makes sense because he's the sleeping deity, right?
Yeah.
Or like, let's see if I can find another one here. The god of the underworld has access to death and prismatic wall spells pretty much at will, and is utterly immune to any death or charm spell because he's the god of death.
Also, his club, which only he can lift, does 3 points to 30 points of damage, and always disenchants one randomly determined magic item on the being being hit. No saving throw. So these guys weren't exactly pushovers.
No, they were meant to hit high level characters. If you wanted to challenge a god, which is appropriate for the Greek mythos.
That's true.
You had to be ready to do it. And again,
I like the way they spelled mythos there.
Yeah,
kind of like they ran out of space for the th, but whatever. It looks all Greek-like.
It looks very.
But this has got the full Greek pantheon. It'd be
does.
funny if it has the Roman pantheon in here.
It would be hilarious.
It's like sea Greek.
Just sea Greek.
Sea Greek.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of
it's
stuff
got the
here.
Indian mythos too. Like I said, it's got a lot of different world mythos that you can tap into this book. Again, like JayArr was saying, you can use this as inspiration. You can use it to kind of research some other mythos if you wanted to include them. Yeah. But it's just a lot. It's a lot of really cool stuff.
You can even find
Japanese
mythos. Wow. You can find mythologies from other like fictional things. This is Franz Lieber's Nehuan mythos.
Wow.
These were the guys from Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. That was one of the series that's a huge influence on D&D. It's where a lot of their the ethos and the structure of the game
Mouser,
comes out.
Yeah,
there he is right there.
So if you wanted to run into Grey Mouser, boom.
Yeah, you get demigods, you get deities, and you can kind of, especially nowadays, it's a lot easier to translate something from 1st edition to 5th edition than I would say it is to like translate something from 3rd edition.
It takes some work.
It takes some work,
but it's doable.
But it's a little easier because the rules are a little more streamlined and they do what they say.
Spider-Man God.
So since we're moving along at a fair trot, let's check out horse mythology.
Horse mythology.
Yeah, that's...
Wait a minute. I don't think it's actually horse mythology.
Oh.
It's probably Norse mythology.
Well, it does have Odin the Allfather and
all
that stuff.
There's...
they also have all of the non-human pantheons that we skipped past there.
For halflings and gnomes.
Including my favorite, the Koatoa god that is an insane...
oh, wow. They even got Maguyet.
The goblin or hobgoblin one.
Yeah,
that's
all
really cool. Kind of gone through some change. So basically, if you want to find some gods of any kind, you'll find them in here.
Sumerian. Wow, we're going deep, son.
There's some incredibly deep cuts. And the other great thing about this book is it outlines the cosmos of D&D.
Yeah.
Here's all of the way
this is the building block.
That's it.
This is something that you see in each edition get kind of refreshed and reiterated.
And it's what kind of really helps hammer home a lot of things. So eventually you get the Great Wheel, but like this illustration kind of really shows what they mean by a plane of existence. So the prime material plane, a lot of people think of that as like a planet or a world or whatever. That's kind of even the Spelljammer take.
Yeah.
But in the OG game,
the inner plane, that was everything.
Yeah, the prime material plane was everything. Galaxies are in there, right? And then outside of it, you had the elemental planes and the positive and negative material planes, and that's sort of the
ethereal plane,
the inner plane, and then you got the outer planes.
We need Captain Planet. We need Heart in here. We have Captain Planet: air, fire, earth, water.
And then
Heart.
you can see the abyss with its 666 layers just kind of snaking around down there.
This is crazy too because it actually has where they meet. You get the cross section. So ice and water brings air, air and water brings ice. Air and fire is dust. Fire and earth is heat, and then water and earth is vapor. Which is
it's all the sort of quasi-elemental planes.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of world building, and a lot of the like D&D is kind of also this weird metal sci-fi thing as well. Because like looking at this illustration for astral travel and combat and stuff, it rules for combat between the planes, for the different phenomena that you would run into. A lot of the stuff that gets refined in Planescape and like the guides to other planes is laid out here. So. It's
we've got charts and charts.
These charts are kind of useful too as well if you're trying to figure out like what is my god gonna have.
Let me just zoom in on this top one here because it's probably there we go. We can kind of see here. You've got the deity on the side, spheres of control,
or domains.
Domains, they're animal.
How they're represented. What kind of clerics they have. How they're dressed, when their holy days are, what kind of devotion they require, sacrifice they require from their worshippers, and how often,
and where they worship at.
So
that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff to think about. If you're looking to build your own world, and especially if you're looking to build your own pantheon, this is a great book because it's where they did all of that work for the first time.
Wow, so that is the AD&D Deities and Demigods book, and just real quick. We want to touch on this. You can read more about this from our article, but this is actually not the original print run.
No, the original print run featured the works of Michael Moorcock's Elric of Melnibone Gods, and it also featured the Cthulhu Pantheon, which was at the time done by Sandy Peterson of Chaosium with the Call of Cthulhu. And
that's a very interesting story, and if you'd like to learn about that, check out our link to our article about this book in the
description below.
Description below. But that's all the time we have.
Thanks I'm AdamHarry. I'm JayArr. Thanks for coming back in time with us, and thanks for watching.
Click to subscribe. Check out more videos. And thanks for watching.